At any given moment, 72% of everything you eat, fuel up with, or depend on for survival is rolling down American highways. When that movement suddenly stops, gas stations run dry within hours, shelves empty in a day, and hospitals teeter on disaster by hour 72. This is not a warning about a far-off apocalypse. It is the real documented timeline of how fast America collapses when trucks do not arrive, what triggers it, and just how invisible are the first signs. 6 hours in, the highways look calm. But inside the country's logistics networks, the numbers are already going haywire. State traffic sensors, usually tracking a steady pulse of heavy trucks on the interstates, start to show a sharp drop, more than half the normal volume, with entire corridors suddenly going quiet. In cities, the familiar hum of overnight freight fades from the data, replaced by blank spots on the dashboard. At a regional distribution center, a manager watches the dock schedule fill with red flags. Every truck is booked to a 15-minute window, and on a regular morning, arrivals tick in like clockwork. Now, hour by hour, the appointment board lights up with late and no-show warnings. The warehouse yard, built for a constant flow of trailers, sits half empty. Exception reports start piling up. Missed pickups, unassigned loads, stalled shipments. The warehouse management system, tuned to spot even minor delays, floods the manager's screen with alerts. Freight analytics platforms, fed by thousands of GPS pings from truck cabs nationwide, show new loads going unassigned. Dispatch screens, usually a blur of activity, freeze as orders stack up with no drivers available. The control towers that oversee supply chains see estimated times of arrival slip further from reality with each passing hour. Most Americans remain unaware. Grocery aisles are still stocked, gas stations still lit. But the people watching the dashboards know what is coming. In the data, the invisible alarm has already sounded. The system is missing its heartbeat, and every minute of silence makes the next day's shortages more certain. At the 12-hour mark, the first cracks appear at the pumps. Most gas stations in America operate on a razor-thin margin of supply, turning over their entire fuel inventory every 1 to 2 days. When the scheduled tanker trucks do not arrive, the countdown begins. Inside a cab, a long-haul tanker driver named Mike watches his dispatch screen fill with canceled routes. He is used to running 2, sometimes 3 deliveries per shift, dropping 10,000 gallons at each stop. Now his phone stays silent. The orders are not coming in. At the terminals, loading racks sit idle. Paperwork piles up. Drivers linger in break rooms, waiting for a call that never comes. So, at street level, the change is subtle at first. Early commuters notice a few stations with cones blocking off empty pumps. By mid-afternoon, word spreads. Social media lights up with photos of lines snaking around corners. The average gas station holds enough fuel for 1 to 3 days of normal sales, but panic buying doubles or triples demand. Pumps run dry in hours, not days. During the Colonial Pipeline outage in 2021, nearly 90% of stations in some southern cities emptied out in less than 48 hours. Now that pattern repeats nationwide without the hope of a quick fix. Tempers flare as lines grow longer. Fights break out over the last few gallons. Essential workers, nurses, delivery drivers, and utility crews find themselves stranded, unable to reach their jobs. For millions, mobility becomes a question of luck and timing. With every missed tanker run, the country's arteries constrict a little more. By the end of the day, the pumps are silent, and the roads begin to empty, not from traffic, but from the absence of fuel. By the end of the first full day, grocery stores across the country start to feel the strain. Most supermarkets rely on 1 to 3 truck deliveries every day, a rhythm that keeps produce, dairy, and meat moving from warehouses to shelves with barely any backstock. Inside a store's inventory control office, a grocery analyst watches the scanner data update in real time. The numbers look wrong. Sales of staples like bread, milk, and eggs have doubled since morning, but the night delivery never arrived. Instead of the usual restock, the back room sits empty. Perishable goods are always the first to go. In normal times, fresh produce might turn over in less than 48 hours. Now, with no trucks coming, the displays of lettuce and strawberries vanish by noon. By evening, the refrigerated cases are nearly bare. Word spreads fast. Social media fills with photos of empty shelves and long lines. The memory of March 2020 hangs heavy. Back then, panic buying emptied stores in under 2 days, even with trucks still running. This time, there is nothing in the pipeline to refill what is gone. Shoppers grab whatever they can, filling carts with canned goods, rice, and pasta. Staff scramble to post rationing signs, but the crowd grows anxious. Fights break out in the aisles. For the first time, the reality of scarcity becomes visible. Food insecurity is not just a future worry, it is here, unfolding one empty aisle at a time. At the 48-hour mark, the quiet inside hospitals is deceptive. Medical supply managers watch their dashboards with mounting unease. For years, these systems have run on just-in-time deliveries, daily shipments of pharmaceuticals, blood products, and disposable supplies arriving with clockwork precision. Now, with trucks at a standstill, every pharmacy cart and storeroom shelf becomes a countdown. Nurses begin to ration IV antibiotics, stretching what is left across more shifts. In the basement, the blood bank director reviews the latest numbers. Platelets, which cannot be stored for more than a few days, are already dangerously low. Regional blood centers, cut off from donation sites and unable to redistribute, send out urgent alerts. The hospital's composite supply manager fields calls. From dialysis, supplies are running thin. Chronic patients who need treatment every 2 to 3 days are now at risk of missing their window. During Winter Storm Uri in Texas, clinics scrambled to conserve fluids and telomide tubing when deliveries stalled, and now that scenario plays out on a national scale. By hour 72, routine surgeries are canceled outright. Emergency rooms begin triaging care, prioritizing trauma and life-threatening cases while deferring anything that can wait. The just-in-time model, designed for efficiency, has become a liability. With every hour, the line between mere disruption and outright collapse grows thinner, and the choices inside the hospital walls become more grave. By the third day, the breakdown reaches City Hall. Garbage trucks, usually fueled at municipal yards every morning, sit idle with empty tanks. Without diesel deliveries, waste collection is one of the first services to be cut. Trash piles up on sidewalks and in alleys, attracting rats and stray animals. In many neighborhoods, the smell becomes impossible to ignore. Water plant managers, watching their storage tanks and chemical gauges, face a different clock. Most facilities keep just days to a couple of weeks worth of chlorine for disinfection. In smaller towns, that reserve can run thin in less than a week. With no trucks arriving, some utilities start warning of boil water advisories. City buses, refueled daily, burn through their last reserves. Agencies/routes then suspend service altogether. The ripple spreads to the banking system. ATM machines, restocked by armored trucks, run out of cash. Card readers and payment terminals, dependent on backup generators, begin to fail as diesel deliveries stop. Daily life in the city stalls, not from a single dramatic event, but from the quiet, relentless exhaustion of the systems that make it possible. America's reliance on trucking hides a deeper problem. The system is stretched thinner every year. The American Trucking Association reports a shortage of around 60,000 drivers, a gap that is only getting wider as the average driver now approaches 46 years old. Recruitment lags behind retirements, and younger workers are not filling the seats fast enough. The industry's warning is clear. Without new blood, the workforce will age out faster than it can be replaced. Automation, often pitched as the answer, remains a distant promise. Experts estimate it will take at least 10 to 20 years before self-driving trucks can cover any meaningful share of the nation's freight. In the meantime, the system operates with no backup. Recent years have exposed just how fragile things can get. In early 2022, the Canadian convoy blockade at the Ambassador Bridge halted a quarter of trade between the US and Canada, forcing auto plants in Michigan and Ontario to slow or stop production. That same year, California Assembly Bill 5 threatened to sideline tens of thousands of independent truckers at the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, sparking protests and slowdowns. Each of these shocks revealed how a single disruption, whether from labor shortages, policy changes, or coordinated action, can ripple through the entire supply chain. The backbone of American commerce is showing its cracks, and the margin for error grows thinner with every passing year. America's supply chain still hangs by a thread: 3.5 million drivers, one relentless clock. As driver shortages and system shocks grow, fragility becomes our daily reality. The question isn't if disruption will come, but when. Our next crisis won't wait for warning signs. Stay alert. Join the discussion below.